Every day, a silent negotiation unfolds inside your mind. It happens before your feet touch the floor in the morning and continues through every decision you make. One voice whispers comfort, offers delay, excuses, and distractions. It reminds you how tired you are, how hard things have been, how tomorrow is always another chance. And the other voice? The quieter one, it doesn't beg for your attention. It simply waits. It stands in the background, calm, resolute, offering no comfort, only the hard truth: lead your life, or be led by your weakness. This is the oldest battle known to man. Not the fight against external enemies, but the fight against the small, deceptive voice inside that convinces you to settle, to shrink, to abandon the higher road for the easier one. And here's the truth you must confront: every time you negotiate with that voice, you surrender a piece of your potential. You trade the life you could have for the temporary relief of doing nothing now. Weakness loves to negotiate because it never wins through strength, it wins through delay. It wins when you say, just this once, or I'll start tomorrow. But here's what it doesn't tell you: weakness has a calendar too. And every time you delay, every time you compromise, it's marking the days, recording how easily you give in. And the more often you surrender, the stronger it becomes. But leadership, real, personal leadership, is born the moment you refuse to take another meeting with weakness. You stop sitting down at the table. You stop entertaining the dialogue. You rise from the chair, walk out of that mental conference room, and declare once and for all, I am no longer available for this conversation. That decision, quiet, unseen, made in the smallest corners of your life, is where true power lives. It's not a dramatic public declaration. It's not shouted from the rooftops. It's made in the cold moments when no one is watching. When the alarm clock rings and the bed is warm. When the junk food calls your name. When the work feels hard and quitting feels easy. That's where leadership is forged. Understand this: leadership is not something you step into once you feel strong. It's something you decide into. And that decision, firm, unwavering, is what makes you strong. Leadership does not grow out of comfort, it grows from discomfort endured with grace. Every disciplined action you take is a declaration of leadership over your life. Every time you rise before you feel like it, every time you work longer than you want to, every time you say no to things that weaken your resolve, you are voting for the life you want rather than the life that simply happens to you. The greatest myth ever sold is that life is supposed to feel easy, that happiness is found through the path of least resistance. But history tells a different story. It tells us that those who achieved greatness, who built legacies, changed lives, and stood tall in the face of adversity, were not the ones who sought comfort. They were the ones who mastered the art of doing what needed to be done, even when they didn't feel like doing it. They understood a fundamental truth: that your emotions are not always allies. Left unchecked, they become chains. Desire for comfort becomes procrastination. Fear becomes paralysis. Doubt becomes surrender. But when you lead your life, you become the master of these emotions, not their servant. And how do you lead emotions? You out-discipline them. You act despite them. You recognize them as signals, not commands. Feel the fear, but move anyway. Feel the hesitation, but take the step. Feel the exhaustion, but rise and keep going. Discipline is the sword that cuts through the noise of emotional weakness. And every time you wield it, you strengthen your leadership over your life. Look around at your current circumstances. Be brutally honest. They are the sum total of every negotiation you've had with weakness and every moment you stood as a leader instead. Your health, your relationships, your finances, your sense of purpose, they all bear the marks of these decisions. If your health is poor, it's because weakness convinced you to trade discipline for indulgence. If your relationships are strained, it's because weakness whispered to withhold forgiveness, to avoid difficult conversations, to choose pride over vulnerability. If your finances are unstable, it's because weakness sold you temporary pleasures at the cost of long-term security. But the beautiful thing about leadership is this: it's never too late to reclaim the throne. You don't have to wait for perfect circumstances. You don't have to wait for motivation to arrive. You don't need anyone's permission. The kingdom of your life has always been yours to govern. The moment you decide to lead is the moment things begin to change. And no, it won't happen overnight. Leadership is not a lightning strike, it's a slow-burning fire. Fed daily by choices. protected fiercely against the winds of distraction and doubt. Weakness will try to make you believe that the mountain is too high, that the journey is too long. But you must remember, you don't climb a mountain in one great leap. You climb it one disciplined, intentional step at a time. And every step you take weakens the voice of compromise and strengthens the voice of leadership. So today, begin with this: refuse to negotiate. When the alarm goes off, get up. When the temptation comes, turn away. When the task feels overwhelming, break it down and start. Don't debate. Don't discuss. Don't entertain the meeting. Because every time you say, maybe just this once, you teach weakness that it can have a seat at the table of your life. And the longer it sits there, the more it begins to make decisions on your behalf. Decisions about how you spend your time, how you treat your body, how you handle your relationships, how you pursue your goals. Until one day, you wake up and realize you've been living as a follower in your own life. But not anymore. Not now. Not after today. Would you like me to continue immediately? And so from this moment forward, draw the line so deep in the soil of your soul that weakness knows it will not cross again. Declare that your mind is no longer open for negotiation on matters of your character, your health, your finances, your relationships, and your future. Weakness will come knocking, it always does. It will come with seductive offers dressed as harmless indulgences. It will bring you comfort wrapped in distraction. It will offer you an easy way out, a soft pillow for the hard edge of reality. But you, from now on, are not opening the door. Because you have come to understand something that few ever truly grasp: comfort is a liar. It will give you a soft place to fall but leave you with nowhere to rise. It will lull you to sleep in the middle of your dreams. And when you wake, you'll find those dreams turn to dust. A life of leadership is not a life free of struggle, it is a life built through struggle. The blacksmith does not curse the hammer or the fire, he knows they shape the steel. And so must you embrace the challenges that forge your character, that harden your resolve, that temper your will. This is not about punishment. This is not about living a life stripped of joy. It's about living a life where joy has been earned. Where happiness is not some fleeting feeling found in indulgence but a deep, unwavering sense of pride born from knowing you lived this day well. When you lead your life, you become the architect of your destiny. You begin to build days that matter, not days that simply pass. You start to measure your success not by the size of the pleasures you consume, but by the strength of the person you are becoming. And yes, it will feel hard at times. Leadership always feels hard because it carries the weight of responsibility. But it also carries the lightness of freedom. The freedom that comes from knowing you are not at the mercy of moods, or circumstances, or the weakness that once ruled over you. The strongest people you know, the ones you admire, the ones who seem unshakable, did not arrive at that strength by accident. They trained for it. They practiced it. And while the world slept in the warm embrace of compromise, they stayed awake in the cold light of discipline. They walked past the negotiating table, even when their legs trembled and their hearts whispered for rest. And with every refusal, they gained strength. With every hard choice, they built the life others only wish for. This is the truth the world will rarely tell you: discipline, not desire, builds dreams. Leadership, not luck, creates freedom. And strength, not softness, forges a life worth living. So now ask yourself, who am I becoming in the quiet decisions of my day? In the lonely moments when no one is watching, and it would be so easy to slip back into the arms of weakness, what choice do I make? Because it is there, in those moments, that the future is written. If you do not choose to lead your life, someone else will. The marketers, the distractions, the temptations, they are all lined up, waiting to guide you into a life of consumption rather than creation. A life of reacting rather than building. And their path always ends the same way, in regret. But you were not built for regret. You were built for greatness. That doesn't mean standing on stages or gathering applause. It means living a life that, when you meet your reflection at the end of your days, you can stand tall and say, I led this life with courage. I lived with honor. I did not negotiate away my greatness. Greatness is not a moment. It is a collection of moments. Quiet victories stacked one on top of the other until, suddenly, you look back and see the mountain you've climbed. And every time you refuse the easy path, every time you turned your back on the negotiation table, you took another step upward. So, lead. Lead yourself before you seek to lead others. Lead your mornings before you attempt to command your evenings. Lead your thoughts before you try to change your actions. Because leadership always starts from within. Refuse to be the person who looks back on life and realizes that every great thing they could have been was sold at the market of compromise for the cheap price of temporary comfort. Be the person who pays the higher price now, the price of discipline, sacrifice, and uncomfortable growth, so that later, you can enjoy the priceless reward of a life well lived. The clock is ticking. And life does not pause for indecision. Each day you hesitate, the auctioneer of time is selling off pieces of your potential to the highest bidder. And weakness will always be first in line. Unless you rise. So rise. Lead. And never again negotiate with what weakens you. The world is waiting for the full expression of the person you were meant to become. Your family is waiting. Your future is waiting. You are waiting. This is the moment you choose. Take the pen back from weakness and begin to write the chapter of your life where the hero stands tall, not perfectly, not without struggle, but with unwavering resolve. Stand, lead, and write a story worth telling. And when the voice of weakness comes again, you'll meet it with the quiet strength of someone who has already decided. I do not negotiate with weakness. I lead my life. And that is the final word.